We are at the end of the first week for Canada's new parliament, and the coming weeks are bound to be very busy. The Liberal government is looking to pass legislation ahead of the summer break. Today, we heard from both the Prime Minister and the leader of the Conservative Party. The CBC's Marina von Stackelberg joins us now live from Ottawa. So Mark Carney, Marina, spoke to mayors in Ottawa, and he hinted legislation on public safety that could be coming soon. What did he say?
Yeah, so Mark Carney was addressing the Federation of Canadian Municipalities here in Ottawa. This is really a group of mayors and councillors from municipalities across the country meeting here today in the nation's capital. In that address, he talked about some of the main priorities that would, of course, be of specific interest to municipalities, including these nation-building projects like resource development, infrastructure funding. But he also talked a lot about public safety, promising 1,000 more RCMP officers, and saying what he says is Ottawa's way of giving police, in his word, additional tools to combat crime. Discussions about bail reform. This is something that Mark Carney promised throughout the election campaign, and something that the premiers of the provinces and territories have very much been asking for, an issue that municipalities have raised as well as they kind of tackle this sort of issue right at their doorstep. So, heading into the First Minister's meeting, just coming up this in a couple of days here with those premiers, it would be very good for, Mark Carney to say this is what we're doing here. And so what we heard today from him was some more clear timelines of when the federal government wants to bring some of this stuff through. Have a listen to what he said to these mayors earlier today in Ottawa.
Hello. Canada's new government will work with you and work relentlessly to keep Canadians safe in their communities. We will soon introduce legislation to strengthen our border, to fight the traffic of guns and drugs coming into our country.
There's a sign that could be coming within, the next 3 or 4 weeks, because that's actually how short this sitting is going to be until Parliament breaks for the summer holiday. And so that is some more clear language coming from the Prime Minister as to how quickly this could be coming. Obviously, legislative changes might be needed to bring in some of these measures, and that would obviously have to go through the House of Commons. Interesting, too, Mark Carney speaking with municipalities. The federal government, the Liberal government, previously under Justin Trudeau, was very much trying to build a tighter relationship between those two levels of government with specific programs that dealt directly with municipalities, encouraging them to, deal specifically with the housing issue, cut down on certain types of red tape or bylaws that would prevent housing from getting built at the speed that it needs to be. And Mark Carney addressed that as well. Have a listen.
We will work with you to slash development charges in half for all multi-unit housing over the next 5 years, alongside the provinces and territories, while making, crucial point, while making municipalities whole through federal investments in water, power lines, and wastewater. These things cost money. We're not going to give lectures. We're going to give help and assistance so we can all move forward.
He says, we are not going to give lectures. We are going to give help and assistance so we can all move forward. There is some politics there. That is a direct dig at Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservative Party, because Poilievre in the past has had a bit of a difficult relationship with municipalities, especially the big city mayors, often kind of bringing forward policies that were, we might reward you if you speed up your housing, but we also might punish you if you don't. And that created a bit of a difficult relationship. And so Mark Carney really making a bit of a political comment there and really trying to warm himself with those mayors.
We also heard from Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre with his early evaluation on this first week back in the House. Well, he wasn't in the House. He was outside the House because he wasn't elected. But what did he say?
Yeah, so he did speak to reporters earlier today, talking about the fact that the Conservatives plan to vote against the main spending estimate. So for people who don't understand, this is basically at the beginning of the fiscal year where the government says this is what we're going to kind of earmarked to spend throughout the year. And Pierre Poilievre saying very much that what the Conservatives feel they have seen so far from this new Liberal government looks a lot like the spending that they saw with the Trudeau government. The Conservatives saying so far it just kind of looks like it's the same sort of thing where the Liberals are spending a lot of money on bureaucracy, on consultants, and also really criticizing the fact that the Liberals will not have a spring budget. Now, it's very, very common that every single year you have the federal come the federal government come with a spring budget to really give Canadians a big kind of look at where the spending is planned to be throughout the year, how they're going to spend taxpayer dollars. We've been told that that budget will actually come in the fall. And so Pierre Poilievre picking up on that and picking up on what he says is just really a lot of similar spending that he saw with the previous Liberal government as well.
Earlier this week, I made it clear that we as Conservatives would vote in favor of any good policies that helped restore the Canadian promise, even if they did not go far enough or they were not as good as we would have proposed. That's why earlier this week we announced we'd support some of the government's, albeit small, tax measures. We said we would support them because they were a very small step in the right direction. And we said we will continue to do that. At the same time, we said we would vote against things that are bad for the country and that run against the platform that 8 million Canadians voted for.
It's interesting, Andrew, that you mention the leadership, because Poilievre did field some questions about his leadership as well, of course, having lost his actual seat. Being asked by reporters, do you feel like you are to blame for the loss of the Conservatives in this last election? He pointed to his talking points that he's had, which is that the Conservatives brought in 2.4 million more votes in the last election. They have 25 more seats. And so his words, they just need to continue to work to get the work done and get over the finish line. But part of Pierre Poilievre's work is, of course, going to be getting a seat in the House of Commons. He lost it in the last election. There is a plan for him to run in a by-election in what is considered an Alberta Conservative safe seat. That won't be until the summer, though. So for the next few weeks, we're going to be seeing former Conservative leader Andrew Scheer as the opposition leader doing basically all the work in the House of Commons, including question period, because Pierre Poilievre does not have a seat right now.
Marina, thank you. CBC's Marina von Stackelberg live in Ottawa.